Baldur's Gate 3 can be very confusing, intimidating, and very frustrating, especially for new players and beginners that aren't familiar with this type of game or Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, or just in general. As someone who first started playing Baldur's Gate 3 during early access, I can tell you that it is very overwhelming and frustrating when you first start out. It was with me as well, but I've put 500 plus hours into it, been playing since early access, and I can tell you that it's definitely worth sticking with. It's definitely worth playing, but like I said, it does take a little bit of time to get there. So I am going to be here for you to guide you through and to give you the most tips and tricks, especially when starting out playing Baldur's Gate 3. First and foremost, you're going to want to choose either the easiest difficulty or balance. One of these two are going to be the better difficulties for you starting out. I do recommend going through it on the easiest first, just so you know what to expect. Then you can always bump it up to like balanced, or if you're feeling really challenging, tactician. I don't recommend honor until you actually get through a tactician playthrough without a party wipe. My next tip would be to save often. The autosave on Baldur's Gate 3 doesn't activate that often, so make sure that you are saving your game very often. Before battles, after battles, before and after important conversations, etc. It's easy, it's quick, and it'll save you tons of trouble down the line. My next tip would be rest a lot. So down here in this bottom right corner, you have camp and resting menu. Short rest, basically all that's going to do is you can do this twice a day, and you're going to restore some of your hit points and spell slots on certain characters, depending on who they are. Like a warlock will be able to get their spell slots back, but not all magic-based characters will get their spell slots back. So make sure what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to do a long rest. It is very beneficial, not only just to get your hit points and your spell slots back, but you're going to have very, very important conversations with your companions that you might miss if you do not rest often. And once those are gone, and you can't progress them. My next tip would be the battles. Now, in Baldur's Gate 3, the battles are not going to be straightforward. They're not going to hold your hand. They're not going to tell you how you should do it if you need to be clever or anything like that. Like, for example, if you're an archer, you're going to want to get to, like, high ground, which would be, like, up here. So let's say Karlach is our target. She's not. We love Karlach, but let's just say Karlach is our target, right? You're going to want to get to high ground as an archer because it's very beneficial for an archer to get to high ground, and that's kind of a clever way to look at battle. High ground in general is a nice, clever way to look at battle. Another combat tip would be to stealth. So, say we want to, like, attack Withers, right? Withers is over here. But we want to go into stealth mode. So, obviously, if we go into any of the red area, that's where they're going to see us. Unless we pass a check. So as you can see, I'm going to pop right out of stealth. But okay, so let's say Withers doesn't see us, right? We'll go over here. And then we'll come over here, and then we're going to go around and attack Withers from behind. We're going to get the surprise thing in battle, and that is very important because with surprise you're going to have an advantage. So it's always nice to start out in stealth and then maybe start the attack. But if it's your first playthrough, you're not going to really know when battles start or anything like that. So don't really worry about it if you're on the easy modes. That's kind of only if you're doing like maybe tactician or honor mode especially. But that's just another, example to be creative with your battles. Also, another very important tip here would be there will be explosive barrels and stuff around the world. I don't think I have any here, but here's a barrel here. So let's just say this is an explosive barrel. You can pick the explosive barrel up and you can throw it at somebody. Or you can place it down and have somebody like Gale, who has a firebolt. And you can have Gale throw his firebolt into that explosive barrel and annihilate everybody that is in that area. So always look at your surroundings and see what you have. Like, obviously over here, this is a water barrel, so this isn't gonna, it's not gonna do much unless we're trying to use like electricity, or thunder, I should say. Anything like that. Lightning is the better term. So if you have like water and you break open this water and your enemies are standing in water, you can throw down like lightning and stuff like that. And that will also do a lot more damage than just like regular lightning. So just always look at your surroundings, look at what you can see, what you can throw, etc. Because pretty much you can pick a lot of things up and you can throw them. There's also oil bottles that you can pick up in the world and you can throw down. And if you throw down an oil bottle, of course it's gonna put a bunch of oil on the floor, and then you, like I said, you can use someone like Gale, use his firebolt, and ignite that oil, and that'll set everybody in the oil area on fire in a blaze. So that's pretty much the tips I got for battles without being too overwhelming, because I don't want to be very overwhelming on your first playthrough. I want you to enjoy it, and I don't want you to think too much into it, but just, you know, be aware of your surroundings. Another good tip is just relax when you're playing the game, especially if you're playing it on Explorer or you're playing it on Balanced. You know, one of the biggest mistakes that I made when I first played it, and granted it wasn't early access, is I was trying to rush through Act 1, because Act 1 actually has a sense of urgency to get the tadpole out of your head ASAP. But the thing is, none of this is timed, and it doesn't tell you that none of this is timed, and there really is no reason to rush. Take it all in, enjoy it, and have a good time with the game. Just relax, sit back, and take it all in, because it is an awesome game, and trust me, if you don't do that, you're going to regret it at the end. Another tip is there's no right or wrong. That's another mistake that I made when I first started playing the game. Thinking, oh, there is a certain way to do things, and if I don't do this the right way, it's going to be the wrong way, and I'm going to end up failing. That's not the case with this game. Not with Baldur's Gate 3. This game has about, I think, 17,000 variations of the ending, and there is no right or wrong way. It's you shape the way you make this game. That's the beauty of this. So there is no right or wrong. Just do what you think you like, you think is right, whatever, and that is the way to play it. Your choices do matter, yes, but they're not inherently good or bad. It all depends on what you want out of the game and what you're looking for. So like I said, if you want to romance, if you want to adventure, if you want to be heroic, if you want to be mostly good, you can do all that and more. If you want to be evil and you want to do an evil playthrough, you can do that as well. Dark Urge for that. I'm telling you, Dark Urge has a great origin story. Love it. And if you want to do an evil playthrough, I personally like more the Dark Urge good playthrough, like trying to resist it, than I do the evil playthrough. The evil playthrough is good, but I do prefer like trying to resist it more. But I'm getting a little ahead, especially if you're a new player. I apologize. Next, if you feel like you're running out of inventory space, which is super, super easy to do in this game, you can send any loot that you find or any loot in your inventory to camp. So if I'm like, oh no, we're encumbered, we can't do this, just right click it and then send to camp. You can also multi-select these. So like if I want to select from this staff to here and send all of this stuff to camp, I just select this, I hold shift, I select it all there, they're all highlighted, and I can send all of those to camp at once without doing it one by one by one. If I want to send my whole inventory to camp, so like say from here, hold shift, make sure you click this first and it's highlighted white, go down to the boots, right click, and send to camp. And like I said, with stuff in the world, so like let's take Gale over here real quick. Okay, of course that has nothing. It has nothing in it. I might have to go to the barrel over there, because this is how this game be with me half the time. What's in the wooden barrel? Watch there not be any. So, okay, there's only one item in here, but you can, like I said, right click it, send to camp. So anything that you find in the world, you can send it to camp. This is probably the easiest thing to do. So this little basket here that has equipment and stuff like that. So say I want to send this, all the way to here. Look at, we got it highlighted from here to here, and all of that I can literally just send it to camp. So you can do that with anything out in the world that you loot as well. It doesn't have to be in your inventory first to do that. You can pick it up on a body, you can pick it up in like a barrel or a crate, it does not matter. If you want to send it to camp, you send it to camp. Or another great feature too is, say, okay, we're on Gale, right? But say we didn't build Gale the wizard approach, and maybe we made Karlach the wizard instead of the barbarian, right? We're gonna say that that's what we did here. And all these scrolls, you're like, okay, well, the Gale's not gonna be able to use these then. So just shift, select this, and then shift, and then select this here, and you can just drag them straight to Karlach's portrait. One second, I messed my inventory up. So, like, let's just take one item, and you can drag that to Karlach. So, like, if these aren't good for Gale or whoever it's on or whatever, you can just bloop and put it right there, and then now it's in Karlach's inventory. If we want to send them back to Gale, it can go back to Gale. You can also click items in the world, though, too.
No rest for the wicked, I see.
So, like, once again, example here. Actually, we'll go do the torch. So if we go see this torch and we're like, okay, they all have torches besides, you know, Tab. We didn't pick a torch up for our Tab character, our main character. You can just right click it, and then you can send it to your whatever your main character's name is. Mine's Rory McRae from Banishers of New Eden. But yeah, you can send it in this menu as well. It's a very neat feature, and it definitely helps. Alright, my next tip. My next tip would be your attacks can hurt your companions. So if you're doing like an AoE attack, which I don't think I have on Gale currently right now. But if you have like an area of effect attack, I don't know if any of these have an area of effect attack that I can actually show you. I don't think any of them do, unfortunately. But, so like obviously when you do an area of effect attack, if you're standing too close, so like if I'm standing right here next to Karlach, and the circle is, you know, covering Karlach and myself, and even Scratch. Like, if you take Scratch with you, Scratch can be a companion as well. Well, kind of a companion. It will do damage to them. So if they're in that area of effect, be mindful because it will do damage to them. You can heal them, but I just think you need to be aware of that, especially if they're low on health and you accidentally throw out an AoE and it hits them, it will definitely knock them down. And I've done that before, so yeah, just so you know. My next tip would be, let's go to Gale for my next tip here, is use your spells outside of combat. One thing that actually surprised me when I was playing Baldur's Gate 3 is that you can use your spells and attacks basically everywhere on everything. And I didn't know that. So just in case you didn't know, or you haven't seen it yet, you can use your whole arsenal of spells outside. So like if you're sneaking up on an enemy and like I said, you see a barrel that you can explode or whatever, and you see many enemies around it, yes, you can grab Gale and you can grab his firebolt, hit that barrel, and boom. And it's gonna save you time too, because now you also initiated the surprise on top of doing that before you actually went into battle or anything like that. You can also cast like buffs and stuff like that. So like Gale's mage armor, I can cast that as long as it says until long rest, which it does. It says right underneath it here. I can't really point at it because I'd be moving my mouse off of it, but as you can see right there, above where it says the target can't be wearing armor, it says until long rest. As long as it says until long rest, I can go ahead and I can take this and I can cast this on Gale, and now he's got the pre-buff already until we long rest again of mage armor. And now his base class armor is 13 because that's what mage armor does. So you can do that too. Another great example would be Shadowheart, but I don't have her in my party currently right now. She's got some nice spells like Blessed and stuff like that that you can go ahead and buff before you go into battle. Now, there are buffs that you can't do unless you're in turn-based. And to kind of get rid of that before you go into a battle, so say we're going to get ready to go attack Withers here, right? You're just going to enter turn-based mode like this. And once you enter turn-based mode, as you can see, Blade Ward is only 2 turns, right? This isn't until long rest. But I can go ahead and cast this on Gale. And now Gale has Blade Ward before we go into battle. And we're in turn-based. But once you end the turn and you go out of combat mode, this is going to start ticking down and it's going to go bye-bye. Next up would be use your bonus actions in battle. Your bonus actions are the orange triangle here. And I cannot tell you this enough. Bonus actions do matter. They are action points and they're a bonus. And just use them. Bonus actions, you can heal someone or yourself. You can push someone off a cliff of great height with shove, which is right here. So like you could take this and you can just boom, push somebody off, and they're great. You can also use it to jump if you want to close the gaps or whatever. So like say I don't have enough movement to get to Withers, but I can go ahead and use jump as my bonus action, and I can just jump straight in front of Withers now, and then boom, I now have enough to where I can attack them, etc. Always use bonus actions. They're very useful and they work wonderfully. You can see Blade Ward is going down, like I said, because you only have 2 turns. So next would be, if you're stuck, do something else. Baldur's Gate, like I said, will not hold your hand, and it certainly doesn't tell you where to go or what to do with quests or anything, or the order to do quests in, to where it's kind of like almost like Souls-like, but it's not, to where you have to figure out where you need to go. There might be enemies that are too high a level for you and you're just not quite ready for that yet. You know, like if you wandered off into the mountain pass at the beginning of your journey and coming here, like right after you get off the beach, that's not really a good thing to do. And this won't tell you that. It won't tell you like, oh, you just explored an area that you should not be in. You just kind of have to figure that out on your own. Also, you're going to want to find a shovel early on. So let me go back to my main character, because my main character does have the shovel. As you can see, I do have a shovel here, and the reason why I say this is because you can dig up, obviously I can't do it here because there is nothing here to dig up, but you can use this shovel to dig up chests, and it's very useful, so I definitely recommend getting the shovel. You'll find it right before the Grove fight. Before you go into Druid Grove, it'll be to the left-hand side of that hill. There'll be a shovel in like a mound. You can pick it up, you can dig that mound, and then a treasure chest will pop up. Another tip would be, if you see a trap on the ground, I know there's no trap here, but if you see one on the ground, you can shoot traps to disarm them. And eventually, like I said, you are going to find a trap disarming kit if you don't have any. So if you do have a trap disarming kit, you can go up to it and you can disarm it. But why do that and waste it when you can just shoot it with a range attack and you'll likely disarm it, right? So I always recommend just using a range attack and just shooting wherever, you know, that trap is. It just works much better in my opinion. Now, if you're struggling, like say, oh, I want to get up here, but I don't know how to get up here. I know we can go around and get up, but we're just going to use it. Use jump. Use jump to your advantage. Boom. And now you just got to an area. Jump will be your best friend in this game. I tell you that right now. If you are looking at something, you're like, I have no idea how to get up there. I can't find the path. I don't know where it's at. Most of the time, jump will be your best friend. And you will be able to get right up there with jump. No problem. Now, if you run into like little tiny holes, which I don't have here, but like you'll see like little tiny holes that you can kind of go into, you can disguise yourself to get through those type places. So like if you run into a cave or a hole that you can't get through and your companions can't get through, you can disguise yourself into something smaller like a gnome or like a cat or whatever you have to disguise yourself as, and you can squeeze through those tight spaces. Another tip is take advantage of the high ground, like I said. So it's always nice to be high up. Like if we're going to attack Will here, Will's down here on the ground, and we're up here and we have the high ground. This is always a great tactic. It's always a great advantage, and it's nice to do. I would always recommend, if you're going to go with a party, you know, have one of them up here. I typically like to have Gale, because he's a wizard. I like to have him kind of away from most people and up high. So Gale will definitely be up high. And then I also do that with Astarion too, because he's an archer. And I just think that they have advantages doing that. Obviously, I'm a barbarian, so I'm kind of up close and personal to people. But those two I definitely like to have up high. It's a nice advantage, and it makes battles easier, in my opinion. Now, when we get to conversations, if your character, your main character, is not good with charisma or whatever it may be, persuasion, you can switch to other companions to help those conversations. So like, for example, if you run into like a Githyanki, it's probably best to switch to Lae'zel over here, because she is the Githyanki, and let her talk. let her do all the talking, because like I said, she is a Githyanki, and it will work out better if she talks to the Githyanki than yourself, because she has higher, honor with them, etc., whatever it may be. It's usually easy to tell because the companion will offer to talk to them instead of you in dialogue. So that's nice too. But you can switch to them. So, say you want to just go in talking as Lae'zel, you can easily just switch to Lae'zel. Or like if you, okay, Gale's going to be able to take this conversation on better than anybody out of the party, you can just easily switch to Gale and then have Gale go up to the person and talk to the said person like that. You don't have to stay as your main character. That's the beauty. Another thing, like I said too, use explosive barrels. When you run in explosive barrels, like oil or alcohol barrels, pick them up and send them to camp. You don't have to, obviously you don't want to keep them in your inventory because they're going to be a lot of weight. So just pick them up, send them to camp, and then when you get ready to go into a battle, you can go to camp, because you can go to camp anytime. No matter where you are, you can just hit return. This will say return to camp, because like, as you see, if we leave camp and say I want to go to camp right out here where I am, after a battle, before a battle, it doesn't matter. You just click this and then you just do go to camp. And you can freely go back to camp, pick up all of your items in your chest over here, and then take them out with you. It's great. Another tip is encounters will continue without you. If you run into someone in need of saving, you need to save them immediately. I learned that the hard way at the burning place where you have to go in there and you got to save the counselor and all of them. I actually triggered it, but picked up the waypoint and then came back out because it was a little too rough for my character to do at the time. And then when I ended up going back, they were all and I could not save them. The next step would be give your companions time. You're not going to like all of your companions immediately. I know I didn't. A lot of them might annoy you, they might aggravate you, and they might get under your skin. But if you give them time, they will grow on you. They will. Especially Gale and Lae'zel. And I do say especially Gale because I know a lot of people don't give Gale the time of day because they get a little, without spoiling anything, they get a little upset with him and what he demands and requires. But once you get past that point, you will really soon realize that Gale has an amazing backstory. He is a wonderful companion, and I do suggest that you keep him with you and you see Gale for who he really is, not just what he's like at the beginning. So just give them time. Just kind of like when meeting new people in real life, the same thing goes for your companions. Give them time, and you will learn to love each and every one of them. Another big one is if you feel like your dice rolls when you're rolling your dice are like not in your favor, you can always go to your settings and you can turn karmic dice off, because I think by default they're on. It has the little check mark if it's on. If you feel like, oh no, I'm constantly rolling horribly and it's bad, you can go ahead and go into your settings and turn that off. You can swap you can swap spells mid-battle. And basically how you do that is, we'll make sure we're on Gale, is you just open up his inventory, you go to his spell book, and then you can kind of take out, if I don't want Scorching Ray anymore. I didn't realize I had a spell slot open and I didn't put anything there. Or if you realize that you didn't put anything there and, yeah, you can do that. But say, I don't want Chromatic Orb anymore and I want, Mouse Acid Arrow, you can easily swap these out outside of combat. And I think you can do it mid-battle as well. Now, another thing that a lot of people don't know is if you hold Alt, you can see everything on the ground. So as you can see, there's a basket full of equipment, which is just a mod for cosmetics. And then the silver spoon over here, etc. So like if you hold it, there's invasion plans for the Sword Coast, all that stuff. So if you hold Alt, you can see what's on the ground around you in case if you missed any loot. You can also save scum in the middle of conversations. So like if I'm talking to Karlak and I'm like, oh no, this is going to be a dice roll. I am scared right here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pass this or whatever. You just want to save it because you want to save it because you might screw dialogue up. You just hit F5 on PC. I think it's like start and then Y or triangle on console. And it will literally save, as you can see, that's what it's doing right now, in mid-conversation. Also, respect your companions. So Withers over here, once you get Withers can respect you or your companions. So say I don't really like Gale's stats or whatever, I can go over here to Withers. It's going to cost 100 gold, but we can go talk to Withers and we can respect Gale. Meaning we can respec him. So just, can you change my class for 100 gold? When you click that, it'll go into a menu, and then you can change what Gale is. You can change his subclass. You can change his class in general, and you can change all of his attribute points and stuff as well, which is nice because a lot of these companions you are going to need to respect because they don't have the right stuff. Let's just put it this way. But yeah, you can go to Withers and you can do that. Those are some tips and tricks that I have for you if you're a new player and you're just starting out in Baldur's Gate 3. If you have any comments, concerns, or questions, just go ahead and feel free to put it in the comment section below. Please make sure you like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. You guys are absolutely amazing, and it will help my channel out so much. But until next time, guys, bye everyone.